The auditorium lights dimmed, and the silence was so heavy it could almost be felt pressing on the skin. Hundreds of eyes stared at the small figure walking nervously toward the center of the stage. His shoes were worn out, his shirt a size too big, and his hands trembled as he clutched the microphone. Nobody knew his name, only that he was just another contestant on a talent show. But in that moment, as the spotlight bathed him in a soft glow, the world seemed to hold its breath. This was Daniel, a boy who had known little more than struggle. He grew up in a tiny orphanage at the edge of the city, a place where laughter was rare and meals were often scarce. Music was his escape. While other children played with toys, Daniel found solace in the old radio that sat in the corner of the orphanage's dusty common room. That radio had introduced him to voices that carried emotions deeper than words, and among them, one song always stayed with him, Yesterday. It wasn't just a song to him, it was a reflection of the childhood he never had and the memories of a family he lost too soon. As Daniel stood on that stage, the judges exchanged skeptical glances. One leaned toward the other and whispered, "He looks terrified. I don't think he'll make it through the first line." The audience shifted in their seats, waiting for something ordinary, perhaps even disappointing. Daniel closed his eyes, took a shaky breath, and let the first note escape his lips. What followed was a sound so pure, so drenched in sorrow and hope, that it cut straight through the air. His voice wasn't polished like a trained singer's, but it carried a depth that silenced the whispers and stilled the restless crowd. Each word of Yesterday came out as though it had lived inside him for years. When he sang about troubles seeming so far away, it was clear that his troubles had never left him. When he asked why she had to go, everyone could sense he was asking life itself why it had taken so much from him. Halfway through the performance, a woman in the front row pulled out a tissue. Then another. And before long, the entire hall was filled with people wiping their eyes. Even the judges, known for their stern and critical expressions, leaned forward with tears shimmering in their eyes. For them, it was no longer about the competition. It was about witnessing a boy who had turned his pain into a song that spoke to everyone's heart. But the journey to this moment had not been easy. Daniel almost didn't audition at all. He had no money for transportation and nearly gave up when he couldn't find a way to the city. A kind stranger from his neighborhood, who had often heard him humming to himself, bought him a bus ticket, saying, "Your voice deserves to be heard." Even then, Daniel doubted himself. He worried that he wasn't good enough, that he would be laughed at, that the world would see only his ragged clothes and not the soul behind them. The orphanage caretaker, an elderly woman who had raised countless children, had placed her hands on his shoulders and whispered before he left, "Daniel, when you sing, you don't just sing for yourself. You sing for every child who never got the chance to be heard. Go out there and show them who you are." Those words echoed in his mind as he poured his soul into the stage. By the time he reached the final note, the audience had risen to their feet in thunderous applause. The sound shook the hall like a storm of love and admiration. The judges couldn't even wait for the music to fade. One of them stood and slammed the golden buzzer, showering Daniel in a rain of sparkling confetti. The boy stood frozen, wide-eyed, clutching the microphone to his chest as tears rolled down his face. It was the first time he felt seen, the first time he felt that maybe he mattered. As the crowd cheered his name, Daniel remembered the lonely nights when he would stare out the window of the orphanage, wondering if life had anything better to offer. That night, the answer was clear. His pain had become his strength, and his voice had become his gift to the world. The story of Daniel's audition went viral across the globe. Millions of people watched his performance, many writing comments about how his song had touched them, how it reminded them of their own struggles, losses, and hopes. People from different countries, different languages, and different lives all felt connected to a boy who had once believed he had nothing. But Daniel's story didn't end there. The show opened doors for him, but what he valued most was not the fame or the stage lights, it was the letters he received from children in orphanages, kids who told him, "You gave us hope." Daniel knew then that his purpose was bigger than winning a show. His voice was a bridge, one that carried broken hearts toward healing. Years later, when asked what that night meant to him, Daniel smiled softly and said, "It wasn't just about singing yesterday. It was about proving that no matter where you come from, no matter how heavy your struggles are, your voice can change the world. And sometimes, the smallest voice shakes the biggest stage." And so, Daniel's story remains, a reminder that even the most fragile beginnings can bloom into something extraordinary when touched by courage, faith, and the power of music.